Vlog on a blog. Tomorrow's news today. Get to the truth. Listen, learn, live. Visit us at yadaya.com.
Hey, welcome to the vlog on the vlog. It's a pleasure to be with you. We have Rich as the man in the circle today, double teaming as the king of the cables and also as a co-host. Well, you know, it is nice to see that Donald is good at something.
That's right. I was thinking these numbers are a little low. Rich and I were talking before the show. It feels a little low.
As of July 17th of 2026, the dumpster has made 85,654 false statements during his presidency. That is averaging approximately 169 lies per day. That's proficient.
Yeah, I'm going to have to call Perry on this because that math feels a little bit off because it says July 17th. That was a month. That was a month ago, right?
Well,
less than a month ago. 30 days?
I think what they're just not good with the English here. What they're saying is that from the beginning of his presidency, to July 17th.
Okay.
So as of July 17th, with this presidency beginning 22, I think, of January of 2025, that over that period of time, he's made that number of false statements. So it's a year and 3 quarters that he's had to do this, and they were slow on the post because it's a month later than July 17th. So he's accumulated more lies, and they were slow on the post, and they didn't write it very well. But the point is still valid that at approximately, whether it's 150 or 175 lies per day, that's a lot. I mean, you have to be really good at it. You know, just as a thing we were talking about before the show began, that somebody posted in the chat of yadaya.com that there was an error in Et Sarah, which is a book that we published about a year ago. And it's based upon the best of our knowledge at the time. And, you know, we read the book of Ruth, and it says that there is that she claims to be a Natsara in addition to him being a Natsar. So somebody says, you know, you can't say there's no Natsara when Ruth is the Natsara. Okay, well, so that's a part of the process you learn. And we were talking about, so do you want to correct that? And my answer is no, not really. If we were to go back to the first book and rewrite every book based upon everything we know now, we would preclude everyone from being able to follow along. You'd start at a place that was just way beyond anybody to jump aboard.
Yeah.
So it would be inappropriate to do so. And also, if you were to go all the way back now and try to correct everything for what we have learned, then there would be no purpose, because why would you write even the other books that take you to a place where you learn more?
Right. Yeah, Twistianity would be 10 volumes. I mean,
of course. Yeah, it'd be 10 volumes. And every book that we've written would double in size because of how much we have learned. No one could even get through it. So, you know, you can point out that there is a difference, but why? If you know there's a difference, great. You've learned something. Is there any harm in it? No. And if we tried to adjust everything for the full knowledge that we have now, as I say, no one could even start with any one of these volumes, and there would be no learning, and it would be overwhelming. Now, of course, there's other issues, which are that for years, I spent about a third of my time going back and rewriting the books as we learn more. You can't do that anymore. There's essentially 40 books up there. If you were to go back and try to correct all the books, it'd be like the Golden Gate Bridge. You would be able to sort of keep this one painted, but you'd never write, you'd never translate anything more, you'd never learn anything more, you'd never write anything more. All you would do is update what you have done.
Right.
What fun is that? Where would you go? What's the benefit of that?
Mhm.
So, I don't even have the time or the interest to do so. It'd be a horrible investment of time at this point. And then you've got the issue of to present this much information, you can't do it with flat HTML like we used to.
Mhm.
Now everything that we present is part of an overall operating system. And somebody wants to go in and say, all right, I want to update a paragraph of a book. Well, the way that they're all put together now, you'd end up screwing up the formatting of the entire book. And you wouldn't recognize that you can change the online presentation. But if you do that, then you also have to change the narration, because all the narrations
Mhm.
have to be adjusted for whatever change you made. So you got to find that and make that change. And then you've got to go to a book that you have no access to, which is the book that we send to Amazon for printing, which is an entirely different animal. And then you're dealing with all of the anomalies of Word. It would just be an utter and complete disaster. And you mentioned, okay, so we're going to have a working vacation. Maybe we can do that kind of work then. And I'm not even sure that's the right thing to do then.
Mhm.
I think it's better for them to have a new understanding and be able to read something, go, oh, well, I know, I see where it's not a mistake.
Right.
It's just where we were at the time when the book was written.
Yeah, absolutely. And grow with it. And just that's the difference between people striving for perfection, which is not only a waste of time. It's in fact the whole concept of perfection.
Religious concept.
Is it's a religious concept, but I pursued it to my business career, and I realized that if you take a product, and I was a product guy, I designed products, packaged products, I came up with distribution plans for products, a retail point of purchase for them, whole marketing plans for products, and I realized that you could always improve what you have, constantly improve it. But if you work towards getting the product to be perfect and all the aspects surrounding the product to be perfect, by the time you actually introduce that product, the opportunity will be gone and the product will be too expensive. What you have to be comfortable with is getting something that is the best you can do and better than what others have done up to a certain point, put it into play and run with it, and then build and improve as time permits on that. And so that's part of the God's strategy as well. He's not looking for anybody to be perfect. He's looking for us to be consistent, to continue on, to never stop learning, to never stop growing, to never stop developing. And so that is what we're going to do. And you think you can be a hotshot and say, you've changed your point of view on that later. Well, keep it to yourself. So, okay, good for you. You know that there's a difference. There's a way to deal with that and a way not to deal with it. So
Right.
that's my reaction to all of that. And as for this, there's a huge difference. And that is that he never tells the truth. And he never, ever learns anything new, or never goes to what's right, never been right. And I can't say that his deceptions are all deliberate, because I think he suffers from what's called confabulation. There is no correlation between that piece of shit's mind and what his mouth articulates. Nothing. There's no correlation between reality and what he says, almost ever.
Right. Yeah, and that is the key thing, is that it's still lying, but he doesn't even know the truth. He doesn't even know the reality of the things he's talking about.
No, like he's thinking that he's having negotiations with Iran, and the only place he's having negotiation with Iran is in his own head.
Yeah.
Demon to demon. But to think that you have that man with the limousine of the United States, and he's going to the Marine helicopter and then going to jump aboard a $1 billion Air Force One and go off on some spree and running the U.S. military, and he's Satan. I mean, we had 77 million Americans that voted for Satan to destroy the country and the world. It's just astounding. And you got about 90% of the MAGAs that are still clinging to him, like the piece of shit really wasn't a piece of shit. Yeah, this is absolutely true. And so what these are is Muslim Marxists. And what it says that Hitler was a failed art student, and every one of these people have failed at whatever they have done previously. There's not a single achievement that any of these people could put into play and say, this is what I have achieved, which qualifies me to be telling others how to live their lives, because they want to go into politics to control the lives of others, tell others how to live their lives. There isn't a single one of these people that's ever accomplished anything in their lives. So he was a failed art student and a vegan who blamed all of his problems on rich people and Jews, and who partnered with Muslims, because the Holocaust was a partnership between the socialist and the Muslim, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. And so, yeah, he'd fit in perfect. At the Democratic National Convention, they would absolutely nominate him to be one of their candidates. Adolf. That's why today America is so screwed. I mean, you have a guy who's acting like Der Fuhrer as the MAGA Republican, and you've got the Democrats who are more Nazis than are the MAGAs. I mean, what a fall America has taken. There is no good choice. There is no lesser of two evils in America. So yeah, he'd fit in right with the Democratic Socialists of America, because that's what Nazi meant, except it was the German Socialist Workers' Party.
Yeah, we're just missing the nationalism, aren't they?
Yes.
They're just missing.
Yep. Oh boy. So this was the row between the tweeter and the press secretary. So when it came to the person who augmented the tweets with graphics versus the press secretary who took on the nation's journalists, Trump decided that he would be all in with the tweeter. So that's what happened. Natalie Harp, in addition to being Eva Braun, her entire role with the Donald, which she does carry the diaper bag, of course, but her role with the Donald is to provide the graphics for his late night tweets. She's a bedside companion, and the two of them are the tweeters. So Trump had to decide who he was going to carry with him on the non subject plane, so that they wouldn't be a decoy. And he chose the tweeter over the press secretary. That's how this man thinks. His tweets
gotta wipe his ass.
Well, his tweets are more important to him than his press secretary. And he has viewed that to be the case for a very long time. When's the last time he actually did a formal press conference?
Yeah, we've seen him in the Oval Office kind of falling out. But as far as him stepping up to the IKEA lectern and
yes.
Yeah, no,
he doesn't do that anymore. All he does is spew out his vitriol from the White House, because it's a clown act, because every time it's so absurd, and it's such a cavalcade of chaos that no one's able even to keep track of what the stupid thing is of one day versus the next. But that was the issue right there. It was, what do you value more? The person who sits beside your bed and helps you put out the tweets at midnight, or the press secretary that meets with journalists during the day as a standard means of communicating with and to America? And he valued his tweets more.
Yeah, the nanny is not a cabinet level position. You know, I mean,
Well, which nanny is kind of would be only a fair term if we're going to qualify Trump as a 5-year-old child that's having a temper tantrum in a sandbox. I mean, she does carry the diaper bag, and nannies would do that. And he is a spoiled child brat, and so you could have a nanny for that. But I don't think she's any more mature than he is. Her only contribution is that she sits beside his bedside and she provides the graphics for his midnight tweets.
Yeah, and we know with him, it is very much what have you done for me lately? She knows she's on a razor edge. You can't be in this administration and look, and it's one hair's breadth away between favorite, get on the plane with me, and nope, no more. You know?
Well, and of course, blonde on the right, I wouldn't. If she was about to get run over by a truck and you had the chance to save her, I wouldn't step off the curb. I mean, she was a really vile woman.
Yes.
So
we've got some of her lies coming up. So.
Oh yeah, we have no interest in trying to exonerate her for anything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh, great. Yeah. So here we have ICE. Now, yep, shake their hand, they bring you down.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this just a great deal? Mm-hmm. Perfect, huh?
Yeah. Better living through chemistry. Now, this is technology.
Better living, through electricity for sure. Yeah, you're going to give those goons of ICE this. So they touch somebody, they bring them down to their knees. Why? Because they're the brown shirts of the Fourth Reich. What a creepy society that we live in. It's like, why don't we just equip them with the animal prods?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to goats.
Right.
Let's go back to Dionysus's line in Euripides' play. Let's go back to difficult to kick against the goat. It's perfect. This is your government. It now has a goad for dumb animals. You know how they herd cattle with electric shock goads? Well, that's what this is. This is Animal Farm. Welcome to America. You are the animal, and they are the taskmasters.
And they already do have cattle prods. They don't call them cattle prods, but it's a modified police baton.
Yeah, they do. They do. And this is just a more readily accessible version of that. Can you imagine it being protesting your government, which you have a right to do, and some goon like this walking up with that glove prod? I'm glad I don't live in America. Yeah, lovely. I would just say, if you support Ukraine, you're either ignorant, immoral, or irrational. This is a mother and daughter. They were leaving one of the villages in Ukraine that the Ukrainians don't have anybody to protect, and the Ukrainians want everyone, civilians, women, children, to stay there, so that it takes up the carnage, makes the Russians look worse. So they're playing the Gaza card. Come and kill women and children, trying to that we're using as human shields, and that's exactly what the Muslims do in Gaza. That's what the Ukrainians are doing now, and the same thing as the Muslims in Gaza. If a woman or child tries to leave and doesn't want to be a human shield, they'll shoot them. And here, they killed the mother and her daughter.
Unbelievable.
And they record this because they want to put fear in the hearts and minds of every Ukrainian.
Mm-hmm.
I just say the Ukrainians are the single most despicable ethnic group in all of Europe. It does not get more despicable than Ukrainians, and it has been for centuries. America really picked this sickening partner in their proxy war against Russia. Look at that.
And what idiot records their war crimes? I mean,
they do. They do. Oh no, they want it known because If they show that a woman and a daughter leaving with their suitcase just trying to get out of harm's way, and they murdered them with drones, there'll be fewer of them that are willing to leave, and so that they want fewer desertions, so that more women and children serve as human shields for the deplorable military that is left in Ukraine. And all of this is because the United States bribed Ukrainians to go kill Russians. It's disgusting. Yeah, my point here is really pretty straightforward. In fact, you can go down a little bit with the picture. There you go. So if you're so full of yourself there, Vivid, that you want to tell the world, this is ours, why do those two scars sit up in there in the skyline? Why is the Dome of the Rock and Alaska Mosque, that minaret and that mosque, why are they scarring the Temple Mount, Vivid? You have no courage? You have no character? Do you have any idea of the picture you just showed, what it represents?
Yeah, they're not allowed to go up to them. I mean, especially in these numbers, whenever they want to, they,
But it does. Who gives a fart if they want to? They can't go up to them. I don't give a shit if they can't go up to them. I want them gone. If Israel had any courage, they would be gone. They would scrape them off the Temple Mount. Israel has
absolutely.
no guts, no courage, no character.
Yeah, because the picture is them staying in their allowed area, down the hill and off the. Yeah, no, it's ours. We want to clear it off. Yeah.
Listen, I don't even want them on the Temple Mount because
Sure,
they're religious and political. So I don't want them. I don't want the Jews on the Temple
Right.
Mount. I don't want the Muslims on the Temple Mount. I don't want either of them on the Temple Mount. But I sure as hell don't want religious structures that Muslims have built as trophies on the Temple Mount. And until they're gone, the whole place is you might as well have a pig farm up there. That's just repulsive, and they just have no clue as to who they are. Yeah, you're good little boys and girls that are praying to a rock wall while their overlords have the two trophies above them on their Temple Mount. Great, yeah, should be a proud Jew there, Vivid.
Yeah. Well, all of Jerusalem gets cleared off. All of the churches, all of the holy,
all the mosques, all the synagogues, all gone. Can't happen soon enough. Too bad that there isn't a Jew on the planet that has the courage to do what needs to be done. And it's not about building something new. God doesn't need anybody to build anything for him. Don't build anything new. Just get rid of the filth. He's told you throughout the Torah, throughout the prophets, get rid of the religious filth, including your own. Bury the trash. Yeah, this is an amazing bit. So Israel claimed that the Islamic terrorist, although they don't use Islamic because the IDF has foot and mouth disease, who held Noah, one of the more famous of the victims of 10/7. And also Shtaki Eden, who were murdered in the Gaza Strip. They were taken alive into the Gaza Strip, and as captives, the Muslims murdered them in the Gaza Strip, as well as Ziv Berman and Omri Moran, Ori Megidish, and Naama Levy, as well as Matan Angrist. They were all either rescued or most of them not freed, but traded for Islamic terrorists. And the Muslim who abducted them and held them has been killed. Now, I would celebrate the death of the kidnapper and the murderer. Now, we don't know who the murderer was, but we do know who the kidnapper was. And I celebrate the death of the kidnapper out of way. And for all of those anti-Semites that are going to take up the death count and say, well, it's been 1,000 civilians killed in Gaza since the ceasefire. Well, go to hell. You got no clue what's going on. And somebody commits a crime of that stature, they deserve to die. I mean, that is the only. You don't want to have a trial. You don't want to have them be imprisoned. You just want them to die. There's nothing you're going to do with them. They have no value. They need to die. Now, what's interesting here is that in that ceasefire deal that America and Israel put in place, Israel can attack those who are perceived to be an imminent threat to their troops. They can't go after those who they suspect were part of the 10/7 atrocities. So if you read a little further down, what you find is that another of the leading terrorists for 10/7 was also eliminated. The circumstances over that person's elimination are not as well known in the sense of there's not a clear and imminent threat scenario, but just to show you how badly Israel has failed in reaching the conditions that they wanted, the removal of Hamas from Gaza. The other terrorist that was part of 10/7 that they eliminated this week is the chief of police in Gaza. Mm-hmm. And the Gazan ministry said, yeah, he was the chief of police, and he was one of the terrorists that perpetrated October 7th. Swell, huh?
Yeah. It's interesting that the truce calls for what they call no retribution strikes, and yet the IDF and the Times of Israel, both use the term retribution strikes. And so it's like
the Times of Israel is so anti-Israel. It's I mean that.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
Oh no, the Times of Israel hates Israel. I mean they hate Israel from a Marxist point of view, where the Haredim hate Israel from a religious point of view. The Times of Israel is absolutely disgusting. It might as well be Al Jazeera if you read the articles of the Times of Israel. Yeah, it's really a Marxist rag. So yeah, they claim it as such because they hate Israel. But listen, I personally, I've got no issue with a revenge killing for 10/7. Those who did it celebrated it, and they photographed themselves doing it. They put out posts of claiming credit for doing it, and therefore they've confessed to the crime. They screamed Allahu Akbar as they did it, and killing them is appropriate.
And here we have the chief of police of Gaza crossing the fence and going and killing Jews on October 7th. And his,
we don't know if he was the chief of police 2.5 years ago, or when he came back, he was so acclaimed for having been one of the 10/7 terrorists that he was promoted to that role. I think it's probably the latter, which makes it far worse.
Yeah.
Sorry, you deserve better. And your country did a really lousy job of making your life count. What a tragedy that is. All right, so this whore here wants to explain that, pretend that she understands the colors that are on the Fakistinian flag. Before she begins, what I want to do is to tell this piece of shit that she's an ignorant cunt. There's the C word. That flag, that is the Fakistinian flag, was stolen from Jordan. It's nothing but a counterfeit of the Jordanian flag that just took the star off the Jordanian flag. So it doesn't mean anything to the Fakistinians. And of course, there are no Fakistinians. It doesn't recommend Fakistinian exile because there was no exile of a Fakistinian, because there were no Fakistinians at the time that Israel was granted a return to Israel. So there can't have been a Fakistinian exile. First of all, there's no Fakistinian because the last Fakistinian, Palestinian, which was a Philistine was killed over 2,300 years ago. There isn't a single ethnic Philistine alive anywhere in the world, nor is there any derivative of their DNA. They were wiped out. And even then, when they were in Israel, they only occupied the Gaza area. And even then, they were invaders from Crete. And they were terrorists even then. Those are the Philistines. There are no Philistines alive today. So you're talking about a Palestinian when there is no such thing. It is a ethnic slur. So that's the first thing, trash mouth. The second thing is that flag has nothing to do with a Fakistinian. It is the Jordanian flag. Mm-hmm. Third, you don't understand Islam. There were 4 colors of banners that Muhammad used when he went on his terrorist raids. And those banner colors are the ones that are depicted on the Jordanian flag. They are the colors of terror. They are the colors of Muhammad's terrorist campaigns. In the first 10 years of the Islamic era, Muhammad led 75 terrorist raids. And every one of those raids was to attack civilians, to rape women, to enslave children, and to rob people. And each of them had a different color of banner as to whether or not Muhammad was leading the raid or inspired the raid, and whether the raid was being mostly equipped by the Ansar, which were this lower class Muslims in Yathrib, or by Muhammad's own kin and considered the higher class Muslims who had come from the Kaaba. That's what those colors represent, bitch. And because you're so stupid and everybody around you is applauding, doesn't make anything that you say right. You are promoting a egregious lie. It's not the blood shed by hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. It's the blood shed by 200 million victims of Islam. You understand that? It's the blood shed by 200 million victims of Islam. Cunt. Marxist piece of trash.
Yeah, everywhere in the Muslim world, everywhere in the Muslim world, they use those same flag colors over and over and over. It's a Muslim motif for sure.
Read Goddamn Religion, in Goddamn Religion, as Muhammad leaves the Kaaba in shame and he goes to Yathrib, which is a Jewish community, that he perpetrated apartheid and genocide on the Jews after attacking his own people. Every one of those raids was under one of those 4 colors, and Muhammad was nothing but a ruthless, murdering, enslaving, raping terrorist through it all. And the Quran and Hadith document all of it. That's the colors on that piece of shit flag. Bitch. Hell has a wing. It's going to be named in your honor, and for everyone who applauded while you were saying that.
Yeah, she was speaking Spanish, so I don't know if it was in Spain, Portugal, or where this was taking place. I don't know what the GBC is, but yeah, they were all for it. Every person in the crowd,
Ignorance is so universal today that there is no hope of saving any significant number of people. You cannot reason with somebody this stupid. No matter evidence, no absolute irrefutable proof you could put in the palms of their hands, and there is no saving these kind of useless humans. In fact, they're no longer even humans. They've given up their human card. They aren't worth the value of a garden slug. So, this is Kelly. Kelly was a naval aviator, flew on and off carriers, and he became an astronaut. He is now a Democratic senator. He is being interviewed because the dumpster, POTUS, came out with a tweet yesterday that he says he has ordered the Navy to remove all electronic magnetic catapults from its aircraft carriers and go back to steam. Now, what the piece of shit that is the President of the United States obviously does not know is that the Navy didn't go to electronic magnetic catapults because they had an allergy to steam. Do you know why the Navy went and spent billions of dollars to change steam catapults to electronic?
So they don't rip the crap out of their drones when they toss them off the deck?
That's part of it, but far more serious than that. When the U.S. created the F-35, the greatest military boondoggle of all time, and they have the three variations of the F-35, one of being as a carrier launch variation for the Navy because there's more aircraft in the Navy than there are in the Air Force. So the C variety of it was obviously therefore designed to fly off carriers. The steam catapult wouldn't launch it.
It's too heavy.
And if they upgraded the steam catapult so that they had the force to launch the heavier F-35, they would rip up every other airplane on the flight deck. So the reason they went to electronic magnetic propulsion catapults is because the acceleration and the force were variable. In other words, you could start more slowly and ramp up. You could limit or increase the amount of force so that the airplane that had to have that much velocity imparted to it to get it off the carrier deck could get off the carrier deck because it could be applied. And the aircraft that weighed less and had less structural integrity, cost less, obviously, you could dial it down so you didn't have just a bunch of pieces on your flight deck.
Yeah.
That's why it was done that way. And even Kelly doesn't know the answer to that. I was surprised that he didn't know the answer to it. I've known the answer for years. I like studying the stupidity of militaries, particularly the U.S. and Israeli military. And not because I'm a scientist. It's not because I'm a naval or military historian or an engineer. But I know equipment, boats and airplanes pretty well, and I'm a pretty logical thinker. And so I came up with the realization that I was able to have tested in the War College, that the aircraft carrier now is a useless piece of crap, that it cannot be deployed against China or Russia or any industrialized nation because it can't get within 1,000 miles of the coast. And now the number is closer to 1,500 miles because of the prevalence of surface to ship missiles and the range of those missiles and the number of those missiles such that the aircraft carrier with its various missile defense systems cannot protect itself from a swarm of missiles. It can protect itself from a missile that behaves well, that follows a course and doesn't maneuver. Mm-hmm. It can knock out 4, 5, 6 missiles in a row that behave nicely. But 10 or 20, it's done. And the missiles are relatively cheap. And the missiles now maneuver, which means the aircraft carrier cannot get within 1,500 miles of the coast of an enemy that it wants to attack, like China. It has to stay 1,500 miles back. Now, with an enemy that has only some of the sophistication that China has, like Iran, those carriers are between 1,000 and 1,200 miles off the Iranian coast because they can't get any closer. They get any closer to the coast and they're done. Now, the problem is that if you look at the range of America's fighters that fly off carriers, the range is all maximum about 2,500 nautical miles. Well, that means you've got 1,250 nautical miles, doesn't it? Because you got to fly back to the carrier, don't you?
Right.
Unless you're
the
going to
hope.
unless you're doing the Doolittle B-29 raid, and it's only one way. You got to get back to the carrier. So you have a 1,250 maximum range. So if the carrier has to stay 1,500 miles off coast, it can't do anything. And if it's 1,200 miles off the coast, all it can really do is go to the coast and not loiter, not dogfight, not do anything, drop its bombs on the coast, and then come back. That's all it can do. So the carrier is useless. They can't deploy them. And then when they came up with with let's go fly drones off warships, because drones are far more efficient than our piloted aircraft, well, you don't need a full-on carrier. Small flat top will work just fine. And you want automated systems, and what we have now is useless for drones. And if you're going to have something as overkill as the F-35, you really can't fly F-35s off carriers for two reasons. One, they're too sensitive, and there's too much saltwater exposure on a carrier. And it renders all the other airplanes inoperable. So you can either, if you don't have an electronic catapult, you can have one or the other, but you can't have both. So, what's the purpose of all of this? And so Trump wants to do two things. He wants battleships that look like 1930s battleship, because he doesn't like stealth ships. And of course, the battleship was not very effective in World War I and was useless in World War II. And he wants to go back to battleships. And he wants to take the electronics off of the catapults for an aircraft carrier. Now, this is an interesting bit. Just you could play the beginning of it, because Trump is a guy that was second to lowest in his class at Wharton, and he has no experience in anything. And Kelly flew aircraft, was a test pilot, even flying aircraft off carriers, has hundreds of landings. He has a degree in naval engineering and I think aeronautical engineering, but he has 2 degrees in engineering, and he is an actual pilot, and he served in the Navy, and he happens to be an astronaut. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Listen, I wouldn't tell the Navy you need to replace your catapult system." And I've got some credibility, and he's got none. So it's really a nice retort.
At least that I am aware of. I mean, today the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump has directed the Navy to tear out a complex system for launching jet fighters from its aircraft carriers and instead go back to using steam catapults. This sounds crazy even to people who are not experts. I mean, this is something that will likely cost billions of dollars, but can you explain what exactly this means, what the impacts here could be?
Well, the impact is redesigning the newer ships that are part of the Ford class of aircraft carriers. And it's a big redesign, and it's probably going to cost billions of dollars. And by the way, Donald Trump knows nothing about this stuff. Hey, even for me, I have hundreds of carrier landings, and I've been shot off the front of the ship hundreds of times. I was a test pilot that worked in certifying the takeoff and landing systems for aircraft carriers, and I have a master's degree in aeronautical engineering and a bachelor's degree in marine engineering. Not in any world would I ever suggest to the Navy to change the design of some system on a ship at this point. I mean, does the guy know nothing about the way our government is supposed to work and how it's supposed to be managed? For him to get in these details, especially with his background, I mean, what is his background? He's a marginally failed real estate developer, right, with multiple bankruptcies. He shouldn't be weighing in on systems on aircraft carriers. But for some reason, like something like 6 years ago, somebody said something to him, and he's been fixated on this issue that to a president of the United States should not be an issue.
No, I would just stop there because Kelly should know the answer to this. He should have given you the answer I gave. It's really a shame that he didn't give the answer I gave, which is that without the electronic systems, you can't fly F-35s and F-15s off the same carrier, not without ripping them to shreds. But he didn't. But nonetheless, it was a damn good answer. I would say that, well, I'm no fan of Kelly nor of any Democrat, and I'm not don't get involved in politics other than to condemn politics. But I would tell the Democrats that if they were to stop promoting Muslim Marxists and run this guy, now they'd have a candidate. He does not back down. He's cool. He's collected. He's articulate. He's credible. And he's not a Muslim. And he's not a Marxist. He is liberal, but he is not a Marxist. And he's a hero. He's gone all the way to be an astronaut.
Is he from Arizona? Do I can't remember.
I don't think so. But I don't know what I don't know what
okay.
state. I probably should know, but I don't know what state Kelly is a senator from. I paid attention to Kelly when Hog's Breath, and he got into it, and Hog's Breath said that he's going to pull Kelly's pension, and then he was going to try to court-martial Kelly when he was a senator after a distinguished career in the Navy and then in NASA. And so Hog's Breath said that he was going to court-martial him. And so when you're comparing tattooed alcoholic white supremacist nincompoop boy to Kelly on matters of military protocol, he was more out of his league than he has probably ever been, Hog's Breath. So I liked Kelly for going back after him, where Kelly says, "Oh, you want to do that? Great," and to you too, Brutus. So I like that. I did look up his voting record because I was just curious, and he is very, very liberal. And so liberal philosophy is the antithesis of what America would need if it was going to survive. Not that it's going to survive, but he's not a Marxist, and he's not a Muslim, and to that degree, he's probably the most credible person they've got.
In the world of military construction contracting, this is a beautiful change order, because they're going to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to have a study made that says this is a stupid idea.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, we currently have one Ford aircraft carrier, one Ford class aircraft carrier, and it's sitting in 2-year dry dock, getting the toilets and the laundry worked. The toilets and the laundry didn't work. So
another change order debacle.
Yeah, that's
bad engineering.
Yeah, that's where you are.
Yes. I just had to look it up, but I thought I recognized Kelly was Gabby Gifford's husband when
that's
she
right.
was shot. You know,
Yes.
so that's I thought
What
I
state?
recognized him.
What state is he from?
It's Arizona or New Mexico.
It doesn't say here, but yeah, it happened in Arizona. Yeah,
Okay.
that much I'm sure of.
Okay,
So
all right.
and I think that he took over her, or at least that's when he got into politics or whatever. But I don't know that, because she was incapacitated, that they typically the governor sets the new
yes.
senator and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Could well be.
But-
Could well be. Then that would be true. Okay. Interesting. Anyway, that's the kind of appropriate response to the dumpster. All right. This is worth the listen. Trump's is America's worst enemy. That's what basically this says, is that, and I think she has the line, I think that Iran wants to bubble wrap Trump. If anything, they have no interest in killing him. Any rumor to the contrary is strictly propaganda. They want to bubble wrap him because the most effective weapon that Iran has against America is Donald Trump. By the way, it was it's allegedly Israel that came up with the farce that that Air Force One was going to be shot down out of Ankara, and that was stupid. If that had been Israel, then the Mossad and Shin Bet should be ashamed. It's pathetic. But yeah, we can listen to it. It's I think it's an AI spokesperson, but it's kind of a nice little bit.
Donald Trump just stood at a podium and told the world, "We totally control the Strait of Hormuz, nobody else, only us," while Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan were literally signing a defense pact to replace him. Sir, they're building a whole new NATO and you weren't invited. So here's what's actually happening while Trump is out here doing his strongman karaoke. The Mecca Pact just dropped. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Pakistan, 3 military heavyweights just formed their own mutual defense alliance.
Military heavyweights. What a laugh.
Qatar said, yeah, we're into it. And Iran literally applauded. Let that satisfying irony marinate for a second.
Just stop it just for a
Guy who
second.
said America
Stop it
would
for a
never
second.
be
Stop for a
laughed at
second.
again.
Stop. We'll pick it up later. Saudi Arabia hasn't lifted a finger in its own defense.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a military heavyweight. They have nobody to operate their weapons. Pakistan isn't in the top 40 militaries in the world, and the country is riddled with graft. And Turkey is an economic free fall at the moment. And I don't know if you know the story of Turkey and their currency and economics, but Turkey is an economic free fall. So there is no heavyweight there. And they have already been tested in terms of that agreement. And what the test proved is that it was worthless. But Iran didn't applaud. Iran condemned it. So, you know, you've got a person here that's on their rant and wants to besmirch Trump, and she's right that Trump is a fool. But this is not a NATO type alliance. There is nothing other than an agreement that hit strike one, strike all. And they've already shown that it was worthless because the Houthis have hit now Saudi Arabia twice without a response. So it's worthless. And I can assure you that Turkey is not going to go to war with Iran if Iran bombs Saudi Arabia again. And we've seen actually more Gulf states try to do deals with Tehran than with other Arab Gulf states. So she's wrong on that, but the rest of it, so we can go ahead and play the rest of it.
Yeah, Iran hasn't even attacked Turkey once.
Well, yeah, they have.
Right.
They've sent
Yeah.
missile in
Oh,
Turkey.
they have?
No,
They have? Okay.
Yeah, they have. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that really got everybody's attention is Jordan, of course, because Jordan, they had thought was too far away. They had thought that the U.S. bases in Jordan would be secure. And Israel depends on Jordan as kind of the filter for incoming missiles from Iran. And if Jordan fails them, which Jordan did, then it makes Israel much more vulnerable. So the hit on Jordan was a real wake-up call for America's defensive systems.
And so NATO's just too damn busy in Ukraine that they can't respond to Iran because of Turkey, because Turkey's a NATO member, right? They're not in the EU, but they're a NATO member.
Yeah. Even though they were struck once, it's
Okay.
That's not going to trigger an Article 5. No, NATO is a paper tiger too.
Sure.
I think that if right now you have a war between NATO and Russia is beating NATO, and so. Yeah, I don't think there's anything left really of NATO. I don't even know why it continues to exist. It is a threat to world stability because it'll be a catalyst for war, but that's all it is. So we can play a little bit more of this.
Chinese state newspapers are currently running headlines about the U.S. self-destructing, and China's just sitting back, eating popcorn, cutting side deals with the Houthis, and waiting to fill the power vacuum Trump is personally inflating with a bicycle pump. And it gets better. You know what Iran's foreign minister reportedly hears from other world leaders behind closed doors? You did it. You stopped the United States. Not with missiles, not with war, They're saying Trump did it for them. Iran doesn't want to take Trump out. They want to bubble wrap him and keep him in office because he's doing more damage to American power than any adversary ever could. Meanwhile, Israel's agriculture minister, yes, the agriculture minister went on record calling this new Sunni alliance very problematic, reminding everyone that Pakistan has nuclear weapons. Netanyahu's coalition is panicking because the Abraham Accords were supposed to isolate Iran. Instead, Iran's vibing, Arab nations are uniting, and Israel's watching its neighborhood completely reorganize without a single RSVP sent to Jerusalem. But the real comedy? Trump's big military vision.
Okay. Turkey is not an Arab nation, so you don't have Arab nations that are uniting. China is not sitting back and doing anything. They're not applauding. They're not eating popcorn. And all of this, they actually don't want America to fall because it would be disastrous for them and everybody else. So it's just people just go off on tangents and say lots of stupid things. But there were elements of this that were worth hearing, and particularly the realization that America has been done in mostly by Trump. But it's not to say that Iran's missiles were not instrumental in accomplishing this. It was the missiles and the drones that enabled Iran to play Trump to the point that he did the meltdown and brought America down with him. Oh, wow. So Zelensky wants you to believe that when they do exchanges of dead soldiers, that it is a handful of Ukrainians and thousands of Russians that are in the pile of dead. But the numbers are 10 to 1, typically, in terms of the number of dead Ukrainians that are exchanged for dead Russians. And yet the media in the West picks up the lie and wants it to be thought that the Russians are getting their clock cleaned and the Ukrainians just need a little more time, a little more money, a little more weapons, and they'll take it to the Russians. It's just not true. I mean, if it were not for lies, cocaine, and graft, Zelensky would be bereft of assets.
I don't even understand what's going on here. Do they treat these exchanges as a crime, and so these people are dressed in PPE, preserving evidence?
No. They're dressed like this because dead bodies are really toxic. You know, when you always said don't touch a corpse, there's a reason for that. When a body is dead and it's been dead for a while, they are really toxic. And so these people are wearing masks, and they're wearing essentially hazmat suits and gloves and everything else, and the bodies are bagged like this because no one wants to touch a corpse. They're toxic. So they're exchanging corpses, one nation to another. In fact, if you go down just one, you'll see the most recent exchange. That's we were missing the number on the right. I think it's 20,000.
20,199.
Yeah, versus 653. That's the number I wanted you to see. The total number since 2025. Yeah, 20,200 versus 650.
Yeah.
That's the kind of carnage differential that has happened in this war for a long time. And we reported that going back 2 years ago.
That's the one that they're nice enough to pick up off the battlefield for the Ukrainians in return, right? I mean,
you know, the Russians are saying this person, this dead body here, is a loved one, somebody. They deserve to have the body back. They can bury them. They can mourn over them, rather than dig a hole and push them into the ground. We're trying to be nice here. We'll do this exchange. We don't even care what the ratio is. Here's 20,200 dead Ukrainians.
Wow.
Yeah, this is Diaper Girl, Ava Brown. She's the chief twit. Yep. And all you can say is when you look at the Copper Khan there and his devotion to the chief twit, that I regret having created men. That's what God said. And this
Yeah.
just happens to be the worst of them.
How old is his youngest daughter? Isn't Tiffany the youngest? And she's got to be in her 40s now, doesn't she? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know which age is
Oh, it's-
Ivanka now. You know, Ivanka's the one that he said, I
oh,
would
he's
like to have
in
sex
love
with her.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to have
Yeah.
sex with her. Look how pretty she is. Look how beautiful she is. I'd love to have sex with her. Yeah. And so, wait, you mean to tell me that the guy who cheated on the mother of his first 3 kids with the mother of his 4th cheated on, who cheated then with the mother of his 5th and then cheated on her with a porn star is having an affair with a 35-year-old personal assistant? Oh, shocker.
Just a rumor.
Shocker. No. He's a
Yeah.
bastion of morality, isn't he, MAGA? Go, Twistian.
Mm-hmm. The least of his crimes. The least of his.
Yeah, the least of his crimes is that one. Now, like I said, there's scores of pictures of drawn, painted of Muslims with naked white women as slaves, and the humiliation of Muslims, the savagery of Muslims, and this is another one of them. The Islamic slave trade, particularly for the 1,000 years that followed Islam, was savage. It was universal. It was decadent. It was all things repulsive. And when you see Marxist women out there chanting on behalf of Islam, and Democrats in America who are Marxist championing Islamic candidates, and you say, what part of history didn't you learn in school? I mean, Islam is the single most horrific plague ever inflicted on humanity. There is no rational debate to that point. There's nothing that humans have ever created that was as deadly as Islam. Now, Marxism is second. Christianity is a very, very distant third. So Abdul al-Sayed is infected with and is spreading the disease of 2 of these 3, the worst and the second worst. Go Democrats. Go Gen Z. You should be so proud of yourself. Boy, there's a young Henry Kissinger. Yeah, I met him, oh goodness, it's a long time ago now, probably 20 years ago, when we became confidants. I didn't know the man that wrote this particular memo, but that memo says that if we don't control population growth in third world countries, that the population of those third world countries will decide that the assets and their resources belong to them as opposed to us. And we're going to have a much more difficult time claiming the assets of the third world if we allow population growth to go unchecked. And therefore, the advice of the memo was to constantly have the CIA involved in all third world countries to manipulate the population, to manipulate governments, such that America would have first claim on their wealth.
Well, that was the creation of, I think it says here, U.S. aid, right? Was
Yes.
created because
On that
Yeah.
basis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to make certain they stayed dependent, to make certain that they would allow America into those countries so that America controlled their natural resources. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah, it's what-
astonishing how evil America is and has been for a very long time.
It's what happened in Iran. It's what happened in Venezuela. That we
What
show
happens
up
in
and-
Iraq and Iran.
It
Yeah.
happened in the banana wars 100 years ago.
Oh yeah, banana wars, absolutely.
Mhm.
And America's been doing this for a long time, all around the world. You're a patriot of America. You wag the flag. You pretend like your military is great. You're an ignoramus. You're an immoral ignoramus. Sorry, it's just not true. Not even close to being true. And the rest of the world is waking up to it. So now you can listen to him. He's Hog's Breath is saying we're going to do very bad things to bad people. Boy, this guy never did get the PC training of what you should and shouldn't say if you're an elected politician. Doing bad things to people makes you immoral, even if they are bad people. And being immoral, even being immoral to immoral people, does not make you moral. There's an effective way to discourage immorality, and even in this regard, you've got something going on here that's just stupid, but that's the nature of Hog's Breath. Is that the only reason he's in Central America is he wants to use the U.S. military as an excuse to go after the drug cartels. But it's really not drug cartels because, well, he went after the president of Venezuela, who had nothing to do with drug cartels. It was the CIA that was running the drug cartels. And so America uses its military to actually establish the CIA, to run the drug cartels, and then to manipulate the governments of those countries and perpetrate regime change. That's what America does. And it then defines who it's a bad person and who's a good person according to the CIA. So first of all, as part of a policy that America has been involved in, manipulating the world, raping the world, abusing the world for better part of 100 years. And he's not quiet about it. He's loud about it. The other issue here, and it's almost as big, when it comes to drugs, whether it's alcohol, cigarettes, or legal, prescription or non-prescription drugs. The issue is never supply, ever. It's always demand. If there is no demand, there is no supply. So it's always demand. The problem of drugs, which he's claiming that he's going to go after, and they never do, but because it's the CIA, that look at the CIA did in Afghanistan. Before the American intervention in Afghanistan through the Taliban, the Afghanis were, with the CIA involvement, were 90% of the supply of cocaine in the world, and of other drugs. They were the poppy farmers of the world. Morphine, cocaine, that sort of thing. And so when the CIA went in to use the Taliban to go kill Russians, that's what we did. That was how the CIA created its slush fund. We did exactly the same thing in Laos during the Vietnam War, and sent the drugs back in the coffins of dead soldiers. And the CIA has been involved in the drug trade a very long time. It's the one that actually ran the drug trade in Venezuela. So it is the U.S. that causes the supply and makes money on it. But the whole problem isn't the supply, it is the demand. And so long as there's a demand for drugs in America, there will always be a supply. So you cannot solve this problem on the supply side. This war on drugs is stupid, absolutely stupid. So that's the problem there, Hog's Breath. But we're going to do bad things to bad people shows the overwhelming desire of the United States to go and publicize what it has done that has been so hideous around the world.
They're publicly telling you what they're going to do right now.
Yes, he is. That's how evil Hog's Breath is.
That's why today we launched the motto of the ACCC, which is we do bad things to bad people. Because for too long,
That's the motto.
bad people did bad things to good people inside the United States of America and across Central and South America. And we're going to empower great Americans and great partners to do really good stuff and be very capable about bringing violence against drug cartels and designated terrorist organizations, because we're dead serious about securing the homeland. That's why today
There are no terrorist organizations in South or Central America. And the drug cartels that are there are meeting American demand. And the more the U.S. military and CIA get involved in Latin America, the more governments are toppled, and the more CIA runs the drug operations. You know, Air America, the movie with Tom Cruise, was a great example of that. The CIA is the principal actor, and the Vietnam War and the Afghanistan War were great examples of exactly how the CIA functions in this regard.
Yeah, go look up the poppy production numbers before and after.
Oh, yeah.
Afghanistan.
By the way, you know, when the United States got run out of Afghanistan and the Taliban came back, the poppy production numbers went back to next to nothing because the CIA is no longer there to run it. This guy's a real liberal, but he is right on some subjects. He says Donald Trump was going to prison. Instead, he's back in the White House, and now he's the most brazen crime spree that in human history, not just in U.S. history. Every single day, it's a new crime, a new scam. You know, that's a new level of corruption. Now, this fellow is extreme libertard, but he's got an audience. He's right in his rant, and this one he's right too. He's unfortunately, like a lot of Marxists, he's wrong on the situation between Ukraine and Russia. He's wrong economically, and you know they're always want to go. You know, we're able to spend money on the military, but we can't provide socialized medicine and food stamps and that sort of thing. And these are not trade-offs between these things, and you know, you lose your credibility when you go there.
Think of all the money we'd save. I said, let's do neither. Think of all the
Let's
money.
do neither. Do neither. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was somebody had a post the other day that said, you know, that Bezos has all this money, and yet 20 or 30% of Amazon workers still have to rely on food stamps for supplemental food support. And the crime there is Amazon employees who are paid enough that they absolutely, unequivocally should not be scamming the U.S. government and claiming otherwise so they could claim food stamps. So if there's 20%, and there probably are, I think there's 80 million American families that are on food assistance, the SNAP program. You know, on this island is probably 85 to 90% of the population. Everybody is scamming the government. Free stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
So the criminals are the employees of Amazon and not the founder of Amazon.
Well, the criminals are the guys that run the Federal Reserve. I mean, the inflation.
Well,
you know,
sure they are criminals, but they really have no choice. America's bankrupt without them. But
yeah,
it's the parasites that are a huge part of the problem. It's why democracy never works. There's too many parasites. Okay, so Islam is not a religion; it's a stupid cult, and so that's what they're. Yeah, see, they're kissing the meteorite, this black stone, and you're going. So you know, Islam is not a religion; it's a stupid cult. All religions are stupid. All religions are cults. All religions are stupid. All religions are cults. Then it's exceedingly easy to prove that and impossible to disprove it.
Yeah, they're just very enamored with the pedophile, rapist, and murderer's pet rock collection, aren't they?
They
I
are.
mean,
Yeah, before Trump, there was Mohammed. Very little difference between Mohammed and Trump. Both mass murderers, both liars, both pedophiles, both rapists, both egomaniacs, both psychopaths. Yeah, not much difference between Mohammed and Donald Trump. Yeah, so this is first post that I saw. I posted it again because I liked Kelly's response, but this is the person saying, "Are you crazy?" This one wants to naysay it because there's 2 sailors per catapult if it's the electronic version, and 12 if it's steam. And they think that the 10 difference on 13 aircraft carriers. I mean, no, well, it's 10 people on at any one time. We probably have 10 active carriers. So we're talking about 100 people. And the U.S. military, and you want to say that the justification is the difference in 100 people? I mean, come on. It's just so stupid sometimes. But just look at his eyes. I mean, I'm not sure there's anything that's working behind there. 1950s steam power. Well, every aircraft carrier, I think, except the Ford class, are still steam. Yeah, saying free Palestine means you are part of a hate movement that actively calls for the genocide of Jews. Your moral compass is absolutely broken. I don't know what the third statement is, but you're on the wrong side of history. Well, that's all true, and it's all immoral, and it's all ignorant, and it's all irrational. There's so much more to this story than that, because the history of the ethnic slur that is Palestine goes all the way back to Hadrian. And to have the British maintain that lie by calling the territory they confiscated Palestine is repulsive. To have the Jews who had access to it again to continue that ethnic slur means that they were stupid. The Brits were anti-Semitic. The Jews were just stupid. And the world is wholly ignorant in this regard. It is nothing but an ethnic slur. It was a Marxist Muslim slogan created by the KGB and the Muslim Brotherhood. It's pathetic. And of course, free before something that is Islamic is an oxymoron. Islam means submission. All Muslims are slaves to Allah. The Quran clearly says there's no choice. No Muslim has a choice. They must obey. And so there is no freedom in Islam. Never has been. So you cannot have a free Palestine. It just shows you're a rust bucket of caustic neurons that have all been fried with acid when you make such a stupid statement.
I think we could have. The poster works if we just remove the word free. Saying Palestine means you're part of a hate movement. I mean, the simple fact that you run with the lie that the word Palestine even exists whatsoever, saying it's Islam.
Just saying Palestine.
It's Islam.
Just saying Palestine means
Islam.
that you are part of a hate movement, or you're so ignorant that you should keep your mouth shut rather than prove your stupidity.
Oh, here she is. Her greatest hits.
Oh yeah, this is fun. Scum for scum, only scum for you. It's it's the Trump version of Shub for Shub. Scum for scum, only scum for you. This is a group of the Wicked Witch's inspirational moments. She was such a charmer. We can go ahead and play it.
Doge and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. As for the bandages on the hand, the president is literally constantly shaking hands.
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion?
Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed it unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist.
Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. No other president in history has faced such repeated, serious attempts on his life. Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel. Brago Garcia, an MS-13 El Salvadorian illegal alien criminal who was hiding in Maryland.
Why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room? He said it would be disrespectful to do that. But why is it disrespectful?
With all due respect, only a reporter from the New York Times would ask a question like that. When you are flying on an airplane with your loved ones, do you pray that your plane lands safely and gets you to your destination, or do you pray that the pilot has a certain skin color?
She was
once
a real
I want to
tramp.
see her say
How are we gonna
stupid
replace
poopy,
that?
poopy, poopy.
How are you going to
heads.
replace trailer trash, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'll. There's a never-ending cesspool of political aspirants. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he'll find another psychopath that will step right into the role. But I will tell you that losing a press secretary right before the midterms is not a good thing. Although losing her is a very good thing for the world. We never have to listen to her again. But of course, Trump saved what he cared about, his tweeter. Tweeter and the diaper bag girl. Got to keep the tweeter happy because those tweets, they need to keep coming. That's his replacement for a press secretary, and that is the reason for the whole resignation is that Trump prioritized tweets over press secretary, and she says, "So what am I doing this for?"
Yeah. I wonder if we'll get somebody that can last longer than Scaramucci. I mean, because you remember the last time this happened, it was a revolving door, days and days and days.
Yes,
you know.
yes, yeah. I wouldn't.
Scaramucci was fun. He was straight out of Central Casting.
Yes,
And he was an
Maybe we
idiot.
can go
Yeah,
back to
he
that.
was-
I don't know.
Someone with an actual clown nose. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we've been thinking a lot of what the story is of Esau, and the only thing that Esau appeared to have done that was they could have been considered annoying is that he married two Hittite women, and the Hittite women made life difficult for Rebecca, and so the wives were considered annoying. So I take this picture and say, all right, so you take the man from Edom and you have an arranged marriage and you resolve that problem. The other day when somebody brought up that God said, I hated Esau. You know where that's written?
Malachi.
Yeah, it's written in the first chapter of Malachi.
Malachi. Oh, okay.
So it was written 1,000 years after
Mm-hmm.
the Esau situation. And so it's not speaking of Esau as a person, and it's not speaking of Jacob as a person. Mm-hmm. And it was written in the perfect, which didn't say, I love and I continue to love and I will always love Jacob. It was written in the perfect. Yeah, there was a time where I cared about Jacob. And there was a time, it was written in the perfect too. There was a time that I was frustrated with Esau. But I will tell you, I went back and read what Rebecca and Yishak and Jacob did. It was one lie after another, one deceitful plot after another. They lied, they lied, they lied. They deceived, they perpetrated a fraud. It was absolute scum. Scum on parade. Ishak was a scum. Rebecca was really treacherous. And Jacob was a weasel. That's why God calls him a worm. This is really a despicable thing that happened to Esau. And it needs to be resolved. And it's a wound in that family that has been there for a long time. And, one of the things you learn is that God continues to speak about how much he is disgusted by Israel for being religious and being revolting. They've been revolting for, better part of 4,000 years since the naming convention was applied to them. That emotions change. Edicts are written in stone. Instructions are written in stone with God. They do not change. Emotions do. And so a person can go from a crappy marriage to an appropriate one. A marriage that is devoted to the covenant. And frustration can be replaced by love. Just as once in a familial desire to pursue the covenant once existed with Jacob, and then Yahweh divorced Jacob, it can be returned to his descendants because emotions can change. It's instructions that can't from God. And so I think there's a lot to this. And also in that story, in the first chapter of Malachi, it doesn't end with just those two statements. It goes on to talk. Yahweh said, you call me Lord, then where's my respect? If I'm a father, where's the love? He goes on to say, I had this feeling for you at one time, but you rejected me. So the alternative's looking pretty good. But I think that's it. I think that's what Yahweh was saying. We're going to right the wrong.
Okay, I was wondering
what happened to Esau was wrong, absolutely dead ass wrong. And Jacob was called a worm because he was. That's who he was. He was a worm.
Right.
And so they going to right the wrong, and that's how the family is restored by the man from Edom. Now, is that man Esau? Of course not. Was the condemnation of Esau in the past Esau? No, it's what grew out of those things, not those individuals. Of course, he wasn't saying he loved Jacob. Jacob wasn't lovable. He said he loved the idea that of Jacob becoming Yisrael and the covenant growing and continuing. That's what God loved, and he did not love that which was opposed to it. But Jacob became synonymous for being opposed to it. So anyway, that's my my thoughts on the matter, and we'll continue to pursue that because I think it's an interesting thing. The big debate on the breakfast table debate this morning. Rich wasn't there. Rich got a later start than normal. He man in the circle had
today,
he had foot cramps last night. Woke up, didn't get any sleep because he had Leah bought him a number of curative things to make his legs feel all better, and so he tried those things and it damn near killed him last night. But that's probably an oversimplification.
Jumping out of bed to stretch my ankles.
Yeah,
I've never had a cramp like that.
Yeah, so he was trying to resolve that, so he didn't get much sleep last night. So he was late for breakfast, but Perry was there, and we were having a little chat. And so it's somehow, some way, we got to get to the bottom of why Yahweh continues to say, I'm the God of, and Abraham, Yishak, and Jacob, when those three fellows were all scum. They were horrible. And why is it that God says, they did as I had asked? Yeah, well, that's barely. If that's all that is required, then there ain't much required because none of them were particularly responsive to Yahweh. They showed nothing in terms of personal character. So why is it? And, one of those questions that really doesn't have a good answer that I'm aware of now. But we talked a lot about it, and our discussion about it was over the idea that, well, God said he regretted creating humans and that humans were bad all of the time. And so if he's going to establish a relationship that's going to include humans, well, then he only has bad humans to work through.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys were perceived to be among the least rotten of the rotten choices that were available to him.
And it was also a decision made from a long time. It's Shazak. It is steadfast in loyalty. These are my guys. These are my ride or dies, hell or high water. I mean, as long as they are keeping with me, then I'm going to keep with them.
Yeah, loyalty. Even when they're acting badly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to show what they can't show.
Mm-hmm.
So unless they go completely nutsoid, I'll maintain loyalty to it. And that's the other thing we talked about, is that by having Yishak and particularly Jacob, but also Abraham, being so annoying, and God's being loyal and sticking with them, it certainly undermines and destroys the whole credibility of the Christian New Testament. And the Christian New Testament is based entirely on one lie, which is that God decided that he was going to attack and rob his chosen people of all the promises he made to them and be their enemy because they threatened to kill him. And so by being loyal to people who were rotten and disgusting all the way through that beginning of that relationship, I was saying, no, I'm not that kind of individual. I'm loyal even when others are not. So it completely undermines the whole credibility of the Christian New Testament and its proposition that God transferred all of his promises to other people because his people killed him. Of course, God's not a man. Men can't kill God, and Jews have never crucified anybody. The whole thing is a stupid lie, but nevertheless, it does completely undermine that and shows God to be quite different than we humans are in this regard. So I think that's certainly part of it too. And part of it is, you don't have to be perfect to be part of the covenant, but you got to stick it through. And Abraham, did at the end. He set Ishmael away when God told him to do so. And he took Yishak to Mount Moriah and did exactly as God did until God said, now we've established what I'm going to do on Passover to be my son, who's going to be the lamb. Thank you very much, but you saw it through. Therefore, I'm going to credit you with all the benefit. And the third thing that I thought about that could also play into this, and probably all three do, first, that there were no good men. There were just less bad men to choose from, and women. And that God is loyal even when humans are not, which completely destroys the lie of Christianity. But also, at that point, God's son, Dowd, had not yet fulfilled Pesach Matzah Bikurim. And once he did, all of their guilt was taken away. And so when God writes about them from his perspective, they are perfect. It's just like you and me, even Rich over there. We have issues and parts of our lives that if they were publicized, we wouldn't be proud of them. But from God's point of view, he doesn't see them. That's the whole purpose of what Dowd did on Matzah, taking our guilt and depositing in Sheol, never to be seen again. So we also appear marvelous in his eyes, even when there are aspects of our past that we wouldn't want publicized, even though these guys did get their past publicized. So I think all three of those can play into it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dowd's, the work on matzah for sure has to figure into the conversation. It's like it's gone. you know?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a fourth here too.
Mm-hmm.
The whole story of Adam, who became Dode, who was conceived to be a son to the Father,
Mm-hmm.
who lived up to that billing when he had proper parenting and failed when he did not.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca and Yishak were not good parents. Jacob, Leah, and Rachel were not good parents. Abraham and Sarah were not good parents. And we see the result. Yishe and whoever was the unknown mother of Dode when he was born as the shepherd boy were really crappy parents. And we see the result. What God is saying is that if you're going to be covenant, you need good parenting. And without good parenting, you're just not going to fit into the covenant. And so I have to establish a baseline to say, these are people with crappy parenting, so that you understand why I'm so insistent on good parenting. And here is the result of good parenting. This is what it can deliver. It's a pretty decent explanation as well.
Yeah, you can use Moshe a bit as the control for that, because he's the one outside that also has good parenting, similar, let's say, exactly like
yes,
Dode
yes,
would
and
have.
no. His first existence, if I'm right, and he was Yosef, which means I'll do it again.
Joseph,
He had crappy parenting.
right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it
Yeah,
was the,
and of course there was lots of stumbles in that life. He figured it out. He came through, but boy, a lot of things he said and did were inappropriate.
Mhm.
And then you have Moshe. He was born with really good parents, Amram and Jochebed,
Jacob.
and they raised him until right before the episode of where he stood up for the Hebrews against the taskmaster. So they absolutely instilled the right kind of values in him. So he had great parenting. And, he endured 40 years with Israel being obnoxious towards him because he had good parenting.
Mhm.
It wasn't perfect, but he did a pretty decent job.
Right.
Yeah. So I think, I guess he is the outlier in that he had good parenting that time. And we see the results of it. God could use him because he had good parenting. And when Dode's issues with Bathsheba and his horrible fall from Yahweh was resolved by the surrogate mother and father, then he became the exemplar of good parenting. That's what we read in his Mizmor. And then when he was born of Boaz and Ruth 2,000 years ago to fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Bekurim, that was the fulfillment of the means to make us all look good in God's eyes, was absolutely and unequivocally the result of effective parenting.
Right. I was having that conversation with my mom the other night about trying to reconcile this idea that, first of all, we have Adam with no parents, essentially, yes, and then we have Shem, which has the A-team parents to come in because no parents didn't work, and so then we get to the point to where I would think being the shepherd boy, the whole King of Israel thing coming up would be a pretty important deployment. Why in the world did we have crappy parents then? Why did Yahweh not
because he has to
deploy
be
the A-team?
He has to fall on his tuchus. He has to be horrible because he is Israel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The first 60 years of his life, he is Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Had the opportunity to have a great relationship with God, and he fell and destroyed it all.
Yeah.
He's Israel. And so what the influx of quality parenting through the 89th Mizmor and the 31st Mashal, what they show in Dode is that you give even an adult man quality parenting, he can become extraordinary. And that's when he wrote all of those Mizmor. He became an extraordinary parent. Extraordinary son. It is it was actually that deployment that turned him into the man that was capable of fulfilling Pesach Matzah B'Kodem, where he proved himself.
Emmanuel, yeah.
So I think it's to show this is that the life that is the most pivotal, and it's the transformation between crappy parenting and good parenting, and we have this transformation. And it's the failure to see that transformation that has Jews hating Dowd. It's that failure to see that transformation that has Christians replacing Dowd with their mythical Jesus. It's the failure to see that transformation. That's the transformation, though, that is so apparent when you read like the 51st Mizmor and then the 116th. You see that transformation. The world has missed it. We noticed it. And that whole story is set up by the story of Ruth and Boaz. God has his couple. You know, they may have their flaws like everybody else, but love underpins that relationship, and that's that next picture right there. This is the result of what they did.
I think through that.
No, that's the next one is that one right there. That's the result. I think I want to make that picture the cover of Mashal, word picture. I love that picture. I think that's going to be the cover of Word Pictures, which is Coming Home, Volume 5. But I think that's the answer. We got together, and we got it done at the most important moment in human history. Because if you don't salvage Dowd's relationship with Yahweh at that point, then it's all over. There's no fulfillment of the spring mikveh. There's no opportunity for us today. There's no return of the sun. There's no return of a king. There's no fulfillment of the fall mikveh. There is nothing if that mission didn't get resolved, that Dowd came back. But the very fact that he could be parented back into a relationship with Yahweh that's the most important story, I think, of all of them. And that should tell Israel, yes, you are Dowd in the worst of his life, but you can be Dowd in the best of his life. You need quality parenting.
I think that's how he becomes the tree of lives, that he earns that.
He does earn it. Yeah, he earns it. He proves it. He proves his worth. Yeah, that next picture there, it's Leah put that in my feed, and I would say that's if that's going to be your retirement present, it's a hell of a lot better than a gold watch.
Right.
I just think it's gold-plated love.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absolutely beautiful as an image, and of course, the image here is of Ruth and Boaz on the threshing floor in Bethlehem. And what that would portend at that point for the world, and for Dowd, because they were his great grandparents, and for them returning to restore Dowd's relationship with Yahweh, and then returning to give birth to Emmanuel Dowd as he would fulfill the spring mikveh, and then return to reestablish his reputation with his people. Yeah, I think that's better than a gold watch.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. This is the reason he's the former ambassador to Saudi Arabia, this fellow on the life, Chase Freeman. He's the reason I stopped listening to Glenn Dyson. Glenn Dyson is actually a very bright, well-educated man that has a very well-produced show on world events. He is a student of the proxy war of Iran and Russia. He knows exactly how it started, knows that America is the real villain in that war. And he knows that Europe are fanning the flames of World War III. He is equally aware of the stupidity of the Iran war and that there's no way out. He's a very well-read, well-spoken, thoughtful, intelligent man. And I don't know if it's his fault or if we're going back to the same situation that Yahweh had with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, that there just are no quality people to interview. And that he thinks that these individuals, for all of their anti-Semitism, are the best of a bad lot. And so, but after the last interview he did with this anti-Semite on the left, I just said, no, I'm never going to listen to you again. Sorry, Glenn, but you lost me. And it's a shame, because he appeared to be one of the good guys.
Yeah, they can't continue to maintain. They sacrifice their popularity. They sacrifice their platform. They sacrifice everything they're doing this for the wrong reasons whenever they don't go with the flow. I mean, they have to have all these.
And I have never seen Glenn say anything that's anti-Semitic. Perhaps he has, but I've not heard him personally say anything that's anti-Semitic. And the array of guests that you can choose to provide expert testimony on the subjects that he wants to cover have all revealed their hand that they are absolute, unequivocal anti-Semites. And so he doesn't have a lot of people that he can interview that are experts that don't have an exceedingly dark heart. Most of them are former military. Most of them are hugely anti-Israel, and they're conspiratorial. So it's a real tough spot. If he were to challenge them and say, let's leave Israel out of this, they would all snap back, and he'd have no guess.
Mike Huckabee is the ambassador to Israel, right? And he's anti-Semitic. Okay. I mean, as much as he wants to give lip service to Israel's our greatest ally, as much as they are the chosen people, at the end of the day, the man's a Christian, and he knows you killed my baby God, right? I mean, so
he does not come across as an anti-Semite. His religion is responsible for anti-Semitism, I think is the way I would say it. Christianity is the very foundation. It's the wellspring of anti-Semitism. And it created anti-Semitism with the lie of Jews killing the Christian God. Of course, God is not a man. Men cannot kill God, and Jews never crucified anyone. So the lie is universal. And of course, if you actually understood what was happening, and that it was Dowd as the Messiah and Son of God who was crucified on Passover to fulfill Passover as the Lamb, then killing him was the intent.
The point, yeah.
And you should applaud that, because that was the whole intent. So Christianity screwed up in every which way. And then they persecuted and demonized and dehumanized Jews for 19 centuries after that fact, and literally created the anti-Semitic environment that led to the Holocaust. So Huckabee's religion is the root of evil as it pertains to God's people. The man himself, I don't think, is an anti-Semite, but he has to be a hypocrite regarding his religion to take that position.
Yeah, I just think that, like you said, militarily and politically, it breeds that. We're at that point to where that veil is being come off, that it is very popular to be anti-Semitic now.
The veil hasn't come off of Huckabee, but all of these other people, they have always been anti-Semitic. It's just that now the popularity of anti-Semites is so extreme on X that they've all let the veil fall and exposing themselves as they are, because it makes them popular with the other anti-Semites out there. And anti-Semitism right now is at a level that's exponentially beyond what it was in 1920s and 1930s Germany, and it's worldwide.
Absolutely.
There is much worse. I mean, there's no comparison to how much worse it is now. Worldwide. And I, in all fairness, Israel contributed to it twice over. 3 times over. Israel had the opportunity to respond to Paul's lies about robbing Dowd of his Messiah title, Son of God title, Chosen One title, King title, and the one who actually fulfilled Pesach. They had all of the evidence and could have proven that Paul lied, and didn't. And because they didn't, do what I have subsequently done. Christianity grew, and they have no one to blame but themselves. And Christianity is the wellspring of anti-Semitism. Jews blew it again in 1910 when they created the form of Judaism that has become dominant in Israel and is extremely popular in America, which is that ultra-Orthodox Haredi form of Judaism. That was created about 1910, and it was when the enlightened of Europe invited Jews out of the ghettos and shuttles to participate in the mainstream of life of Europe. And the rabbis said, no, we'll have none of that. And they created a repressive form of Judaism to keep Jews isolated from integration into Europe. And that is what made the Holocaust possible. So that was their second whack at all of this. And then they are anti-Zionists now. They're parasites in Israel. They're have come up with a government that is wholly counter to what Jews ought to be projecting. And because they have elected a government that was played into destroying Gaza, they have also played into the hands of the anti-Semites that way. So Israel has doubled and tripled down on its own culpability in creating anti-Semitism and is not learning the lesson. Now, that's not to say that there wouldn't be anti-Semitism without them making these horrible mistakes, but they made them. And of course, it was rabbis who sold Muhammad the Talmud readings that became the Quran. And without them, there was no Quran and there's no Islam. So the most anti-Semitic religion ever is a result of the rabbis. The next most anti-Semitic religion is a result of the rabbis, Christianity. And then when they finally had the chance to integrate, it's the fault of the rabbis for not allowing Jews to integrate. And then now in modern Israel, it's the rabbis who keep Netanyahu in power. And he was the one played into the destruction of Gaza, which has exacerbated this problem. So it's a 4-time whammy. All falls right at the feet of the rabbis. They've destroyed Israel. Now, that doesn't justify being an anti-Semite, but they've certainly played into it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was wondering for tonight whether we're going. We're still in chapter 2 on the Herald. We're still on 34.
Yes,
we'll just pick up and take off from there.
I think so.
Okay. We don't.
It's either that or we take a major departure and jump way ahead into Isaiah 10 and 11 or 62 and 63, which are so profound. But I think if we were to try to do that in a family hour, it would be a tough thing to make enough progress to. Just
the amount of material in there to okay.
Yeah, I think it's too much material. And I don't think because I haven't shared the books with everybody. My current status is I have just finished entering all of Michelle's edits into Coming Home 5. I had entered all of J.K.'s edits into Coming Home 6, and I have entered Mike's edits and JK's edits into Coming Home 6 again, and now 4 within middle part of this weekend. I'll have all 3 of those books ready for publication. So we're
wow, okay,
close to getting distribution on all of them. I think I'll have all 3 of them ready, and hopefully it won't take much work of Joe to get them ready for both the site and for publication. And so I'm looking forward to getting that done, and then I'm going to go and rewrite Written in Stone.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just want to let you. Yeah, we will have time because we don't have a music video for this evening, and we have the 3 rotation 1. We've got JB Kirk and Dr. Jeff on the show tonight. So
okay. We do or do not have a music video.
We do not have a music video.
Okay.
So there's, just I just saying that we can go into continue on 34, or there's plenty of time, with the old school group of guys if you wanted to delve into a little bit of 62 and push, you know what I mean? So,
Okay, well, I'll tell you what then. I want to be an accommodating guy. You're lobbying for the more powerful material. I'll look up the page number that it begins for Yeshaya. Either 10. In fact, I'll tell you what. I'm going to, when we finish this program here, I'm going to give you the choice of Yeshaya 10 and 11, or Yeshaya 62 and 63.
Okay.
And I will send the material and you send me just a quick note as a reminder who the rotation is. I got Kirk and Dr. Jeff. Who else is part of this rotation?
JB.
Oh, JB. Okay, so it's a group that could handle this material quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, either rotation can, of course, but
right.
Okay. So you tell me which one you want to do, sir. I will follow your lead. I will send the material. You can choose 10 and 11 or 62 and 63.
Okay.
Okay. Now understand that whichever one you choose, we won't even get a third of the way through. We won't even get a quarter of the way through the first of those two books.
I understand completely. What will happen in my experience will be that you will give us 5, 6, or 7 quick hitters. How about this? And what about this? And this and this? And then we're able to absorb the material after.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What we'll end up creating as a result of this is that we're going to have we'll have 2 vlog series going. I will be continuing with the Herald series. I will remove those 2. And there are multiple chapters, but I'll remove those 2 segments from the Herald series. We'll rename a series that is devoted to those 2 chapters, and then I will have 2 vlogs going simultaneously, which is actually more interesting for everybody anyway. So that's kind of what this will be leading to. It's some pretty stout testimony between those 2. I mean, it's really gut wrenching. It's I think you've noticed that I've been pretty stern and inflexible and focused. Boy, you read what's in there, and you can't walk away without recognizing how big a task we have before us, how much God is depending upon us doing what he thinks we're capable of doing. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been presented this way. And it's obviously we do prevail, but it does not happen because we sit back and sniff the poppies in the field. It's because we're serious about it. It's amazing. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but I'll send it to you because it's all been edited again. Okay, you tell me which ones you want. That's what we'll pursue. All right with you, Rich?
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, Rich likes it. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Enjoyed the vlog on the vlog. We've gone just shy of 2 hours. I'd prefer not to end with a picture of these numbskulls, only just because that's how
levity.
The greatest ever Trump impress. Oh, this guy. Yeah, I can play this guy. He's kind of funny.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go play him.
Hi everyone, it's me, it's the Donald here. Donald J. Trump. What does the J stand for? Genius. I'm such a genius. I finished the jigsaw puzzle in only 10 days. Sit on the box 4 to 5 years. I'm a genius.
Right?
Okay, so
pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty darn good. All right. Well, thank you. We'll see you tonight, 6 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock Atlantic time, family hour on the vlog. Until then, good day.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch y'all on our next podcast.